3 weeks after coming back home to California, I had a mental breakdown, and I went to a psychiatric facility where I was diagnosed with bipolar 1, ultra-rapid cycling. And since I've had lots of revelations that I thought were important to share, to really fight stigmas and to use myself as a humble example. People that were close to me kind of suggested, kind of hinted that they thought that there was something going on, and I just kind of shrugged it off and said, oh no, it's ADD, or oh, it's because I'm an ENFP. But then I was around people who also are ADD, and I was around other ENFPs, and I found that even though there were some commonalities, the level of intensity for good and for bad just wasn't there. I think a lot of Poe's poem Alone, and all I loved alone. I could not bring my joy could not come from a common spring, and all I loved alone. And I knew that there was isolation, but I just didn't really understand the dynamics of what was going on. I have to admit candidly that I fought treatment, I think for 2 reasons. One was the first thing that starts treatment of anything, which is ignorance. I really didn't know what it meant to be bipolar. Societal information on mental illness is the one flew over the cuckoo's nest kind of depiction, and I don't think there's anyone who necessarily wants to be that. So I really, not just that, but just in general, I had no idea what it meant to be bipolar. People said you went on shopping sprees and you spent all this money, and I was like, I was in Mexico and I was budgeting, but it is definitely different for each person, and not every person will have all of the stated symptoms. I think the second thing was identity. I felt scared. I was really scared about losing my identity as a person, losing my creative drive, losing my writing, my euphoria, the thing that kept me close to the pulse of life. I didn't want to give that up. But now I am so relieved, and if I could give my viewers any gift, it would be the gift of treatment, the gift of knowing what's going on, of self-awareness. There are lots of mental illness stigmas, kind of the ones that I've already mentioned, but in addition, there are people that suggest that mental illness means in some way that you're defective, that there's something that's ignoble about you, which is not true. I mean, there are countless examples, and I'm sure people have made YouTube videos on people who have manic depression, who are amazing people. And to the opposite end of that, that does not necessarily mean that someone who is manic depressive is therefore creative and brilliant. That's also sometimes suggested, and many people will use those figures to suggest that they themselves don't need treatment. So it's kind of like someone who takes like a substance, a chemical substance, and they say, when I'm high, I can draw the best. I don't think so. Where there is an artistic capacity, it will manifest. Where there's skill and drive, it will show itself. It will bloom. And when there's not, you just do yourself a great harm, just abusing things that don't need to be abused, or causing yourself undue suffering when there's treatment available. Manic depression can be fatal, as I learned in my case when I had a breakdown, but it's not the end of the world. Without treatment, it's potentially dangerous. It is very, very dangerous. But with treatment, you continue your life with less suffering, with less turmoil, with the world changing, and this beautiful calm, like no euphoria can give you. So I also want to say no shame, you know. I'll go out with friends and I have to say, okay guys, you know what, just a quick sec, gotta take my meds. People who love you will love you no matter what.